incorporated in our religious scriptures. But the religious scriptures had nothing more than, no more value than just voluntary adherence to those scriptures. Whatever, whether we want to follow what is written in the Bible or the Gita or the Quran or the Guru Granth Sahib or whatever, there is no legal binding on anyone of us to follow it. It is just a moral, ethical thing. Okay, I follow this religion, so I should do this. But as societies evolved, we got into a system where the morality of the scriptures got evolved into public voice, and in democratic societies, that public voice has been expressed through the elected leaders and the legislators. The elected leader is not the ministers. The elected leaders, the leaders who represent the voice and opinion of the people. There is a difference between an elected leader who is a minister and a legislator. Okay. Our system sadly doesn't follow that, because the elected leaders become ministers and advisors and parliamentary secretaries. But in the strictest sense of the term, a legislator is only meant to legislate, to make a law, to express the will of the people, to make the law. Okay, so in modern societies, the laws which govern us and our lives, which in almost all countries flow from the constitutions of those countries, they have been enacted by a group of elected representatives, which are called the laws. The legislators make the laws. So the primary duty of a legislator, an MLA or an MP as we call it, is to make a law and not become a minister or an advisor. However, it's the reverse, that the primary duty they think is to become a minister and not legislate. Less time is spent on discussions on legislation anywhere in India than on governance. Okay. The amount of time which is spent by the MLAs and MPs in actually making the laws which govern us is very small as compared to the time they spend on governance and administration. So, but still, as the system stands, it is those laws which govern us. It is those laws which lay down the boundaries within which the government has to act, the government machinery has to act, and also the framework within which a citizen or a resident of a particular area has to act. So the laws give us the freedom, the laws also take away the freedom from us. Since the laws and regulations are an outcome of human thought, so obviously no law can be perfect. No human being can be perfect, no laws can be perfect. But the laws do evolve over a period of time, laws evolve. And I think all laws should evolve because the society which they govern also evolves. So since every society and its thought keeps changing every now and then, so the laws also have to change. The most recent example is this IT revolution. We did not have any computers, we did not have any mobiles, so we did not need any laws. But if there is an IT revolution, we need laws for governing that. This is the same for all actions by the government or by the individuals or by people in the society, whether it is a crime or a civil matter. Many years back, 98, 99, I was in the UN peacekeeping in Bosnia, and we had some Pakistani friends and some American friends also. So the Pakistani friends, they were like my age, and like we have IPS in Pakistan, they have PSP in Pakistan, Police Service of Pakistan. So they were like IPS officers of Pakistan, if you call it, so senior officers. So they invited us for dinner, and they invited the Americans also. So One of them, he asked the Pakistani asked the American. He said, "In your country, gay and lesbian sex is legal." It was a very awkward question to ask, but he did ask that question. You know, uh, the American initially did not have an answer, but he said, "No, it is not illegal." He said that, "But then is it legal?" He said, "No, it is not even legal." He said, "Then why? Then why are people doing all this?" So, again, I'm saying these are all relative things, but I'm just sharing with you an incident. So, the American said, we are now discussing about the legality or illegality of gay, lesbian, or homogamous sex and all that. He said, but 200 years back, when the American Constitution was made, nobody even thought that somebody will ask a question one day whether this is legal or not. It was a very interesting answer. He said, nobody even thought that this will be legal. When 200 years ago, do you think that any one of us would have thought that we would have these instruments in our hand and talking to anyone in the world? So it's a similar example. So societies evolve, thoughts evolve. Certain times when we think it is a taboo to discuss certain things. Okay, so for example, gay, lesbian sex, LGBT. Then till about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years ago, nobody wanted to discuss all this. But we cannot deny that it was not taking place. Yeah. But it's just that over a period of time, over a period of evolution of societies, these things started getting discussed. So as I said, nothing is absolute. But for us, for our purpose, especially for us as government servants, we don't make laws, we implement the laws. A lot of these laws are based on the feedback which the government receives. That feedback can be received by the legislators from their voters or electors, that is one. A lot of these laws are made based on the inputs from the NGOs, civil societies and leaders who are working in different fields. Um, some of it is based on experiences of the people in government, the bureaucrats or the bureaucracy as we call it. Some of the laws can just be based on individual ideas or opinions of a very small group of people, or not necessarily laws, but some actions can be based on ideas of a very small group of people who push an idea. Again, I'm not criticizing anyone or individual, but just to give you an example, like the demonetization which took place, it was just a group of like 15, 20 people who knew it, but it got pushed through. There was no law enacted, but it changed the lives of millions of people. So many other things happen which are like ideas of a few people. Similarly, if you talk about the Panchayati Raj institutions or the urban local bodies, yes, throughout the country, including Nagaland, we used to have rural local bodies, whatever name you call it, okay, whether it is panchayats or whatever you call it. But nobody knew what is an urban local body. So somebody would have pushed that idea. So whether it is urban local bodies or anything. Then coming to things about crime, people have been, as I have been saying, like people have been consuming intoxicants, whether it is local brew or drugs, traditionally over ages. Same goes for prostitution, same goes for corruption. These are things which have been happening over a period of time. But someday people will think that it is necessary to regulate these activities. To what extent these will take place, whether it will be allowed or not. So then we had laws which dealt with, say, prevention of immoral traffic in women, prevention of corruption act, money laundering, narcotics and psychotropic substances act. Nagaland closer home, we have the NLTP act. So these are the voices of the people or certain sections of the people which have got manifest into laws. I am nobody to make laws, I am here to implement the laws. Um, and if I think that there is a law which is ineffective, I can suggest changes to the government of the day or the governments of the people of the day to make changes, either maybe to take the law away, remove that, or to incorporate more changes to make the laws effective and efficient. Um, in this, I will cite two examples for Nagaland case. One is the private money lenders, and the other is the Liquor Prohibition Act. Both these laws, if you would call it, either are uh, incomplete or cannot be implemented properly in the manner in which they are, or there are mechanisms which have been either created or not been created under these laws, which need to be created better, which need to have a better framework. So we also keep giving suggestions about need to regulate or improve these things. For example, uh, and I'm not going into detail, but to just give you an example of the Private Money Lenders Act. The Money Lenders Act calls for appointment of inspectors to check exorbitant rate money lenders. I am sorry if I don't know the right answer, but I think the Nagaland government hasn't appointed inspectors for this. So you have a law without an agency or without a mechanism for implementing it. So if you do not have an agency for implementing that law, the law will remain ineffective. Okay. There are some problems with similarly there are some problems with the Liquor Prohibition Act. The definition of liquor, the local brew has probably been kept out. That is one of the major reasons why this has been unsuccessful. Besides the mechanism of implementation of the NLTP, the major problem is the definition itself. If you leave out local brew, and the local brew basically smells or has the same effect as an Indian-made foreign liquor or a foreign liquor, it is the same thing as allowing everything. So we need to sort of, if we want to implement it properly, probably change the definition and have a mechanism which is much more better. In today's world where money and survival are very important, I think making decent amount of fines for liquor prohibition provisions being violated is a very effective solution than arresting people and putting them in the prisons. I don't know any one of you who is from the police or from prohibition department or excise department here? No. No one. So I can tell you from my experience, you catch someone with liquor, whether it is one bottle of liquor or whether it is with 100 cases of liquor, he will come out of the jail in 3 months. And since he has suffered a loss ranging from say 2,000 rupees to say a few lakh rupees, he will come back with a vengeance and make more money. Okay, so that is where it is ineffective. He will find a new method to protect the system. I think, but if there is a case that every time he smuggles one bottle of liquor and for one bottle the fine is 2,000, for another bottle it is another 2,000, then you will keep him out of the system by just imposing fines on him. This is just one example. You can have other things put in. Again, if you talk in terms of what other things can be done, I don't want to criticize the Naga society or anything, but generally I am giving ideas. See, for example, a lot of crimes take place at the village level which are not reported to the policing system, which are solved at the village level. Yes, minor crimes in all societies are solved at a village level or some informal mediation or consultation. But there are people who commit multiple crimes at the village level which are never reported to the police system, where the village authorities or the NGOs or mother organization or student organization, they try to intervene and impose self-styled fines. My personal view is that The powers of the village authorities legally are governed by the Nagaland rules for administration of justice and police, which does not give power to impose fines of more than 500 rupees. Okay, so if the fine is not more than 500 rupees and the village authority imposes a fine of 5,000 rupees, it is extortion. Simple, but I'm talking in very legal terms. Extra legal terms, it is just extortion. But chalo, let's tolerate that even that is taking place, whether it will be effective or not, it will not be effective. We need to concentrate on building systems where for smaller crimes or smaller incidents of being on the wrong side of law, we start documenting such things. And when people start applying for government jobs or government contracts, those things are taken into account that we should not allow people into the system who are violating the system. Okay, so if you keep them out, it becomes easy. This is another very easy and effective method of dealing with community-based violence, whether it is based on religious lines or village lines or tribal lines. But Nagaland hasn't witnessed any riots in the recent past, but there can be instances where a few people from a village will give a war cry and hundreds of people will go down the street and start pelting stones at shops and people and burn down all these properties. I'm sure that if the law will be implemented properly and say that anyone who's caught on a camera or against whom there is evidence of having involved in arson, he will not be eligible for a job. This will stop. All this violence will stop. I don't want to intrude into a society's cohesiveness or coming together. I don't want to say that it should not happen. It should happen, but a society being together should come together for the right reasons, not for doing wrong. If a society is going to come together for doing things which are wrong, then I think the entire society is treading on a wrong path. Okay, it is not something which is good. Another issue in Nagaland, I'll come to the drugs thing. I'm just building up the background so that explanation thing will become easier later. Another thing in Nagaland is we don't try to localize disputes or problems. We just want to universalize the problem and create a mountain out of a molehill. I have seen many of my Naga friends coming and telling me, Amakhan mein mere to mati vishay important ase. Alok pi banwa loile to manoge morai और होसा ase. Jane ase ame phale bhi Amakhan phale bhi itu nishna. Itu bhabi biya ase. Bhai ko khai khan bhi 1 inch mati mein bhi morai de. So all societies are the same. There is nothing extraordinary different in the Naga society. All societies have the same thing. But in Nagaland, what will happen and what will happen in the other places, I'll tell you. If two brothers have fought for a piece of land, the police will solve that problem as between two brothers, not between two families or two villages or two clans or two tribes. This is where Nagaland is different. This is where we end up creating more problems. In Nagaland, we do not want to localize the problem, we just want to universalize the problem. To minister ase Talaga tribe ke job di thake. Well, in the last 10-11 months that I have been busy, yes, I have been touched wood, I have been God's grace, we have been very lucky that there have been no major incidents. But the one issue which kept me awake for the full night, in fact 2 nights, was the one which happened in Visit, where this student union boy was killed by a drug addict. And why was I afraid? Because the student was from a different village and a range from the person who had killed. Now my fear was this will erupt into a village versus village or a tribe, a clan versus clan. problem. And this it will not erupt just in that Tizip area or Mon district. It can come to Dimapur or Kohima and anywhere. So this is where we don't localize a problem. It's between two people. One person has killed the other. Just let it rest there. One person has committed a theft. Let it rest there. Why should everybody get involved? Okay. To a lesser extent, another problem which was an issue, but two other problems which were an issue but lesser issue. One was this when in the in Chumukdima police station, that Chumuk boy, he died in custody. He committed suicide. Okay, but then again it was a Kiboman versus Angamis. It could have spiraled out of control. Okay. The third was, which was the least amount of problem, was when in Vokha these two girls were their hair were chopped off. They were drug sellers or something. Why do it? We have the police to do it. We have the police to enforce the law. Who is the public to take the law into your own hands? What did you achieve by chopping the hair off those two girls? Did they stop drug peddling? I don't think so. No. Was the public or whoever did that, were they able to get to the root of where the drug is being procured from by these girls? No. What did you achieve? Nothing. In fact, you have, in a different manner, you have just shown how bad you can be. That you don't care for the basic human right of a human being on the other side, whom you think has done something wrong. And as I said, there is nothing absolute. Okay? But this is not how systems work. In modern societies, there are mechanisms and institutions for taking care of all these things. Please take those into confidence. Everybody sort of seems to be very happy when I say that I will list this Nagaland police personnel who take drugs. Okay? Why? Do you think it is because you don't like Nagaland police? Or do you think that drug is a bigger problem? That it has to be handled sternly? I think it is a mix of both. The public of Nagaland do not actually respect Nagaland police as much as they should. Therefore, a section of the public is happy that these fellows don't do anything, let them be punished. Now, I think there are some media people. Please don't quote me at face value on this. I am giving an example to tell you that this is how it is. Okay? There are a lot of police stations where there is no crime taking place. Police station jurisdictions where there are 3 to 4 cases in a year. I was just looking at some data. I just open this thing and give you an example, a few examples. Give me a minute, please. So, just give you examples, okay? There is one police station in Kohima district which has 18 people posted. 2018, 0 cases registered. 2019, 1 case. 2020, 1 case. 2021, 1 case. 2022, 1 case. 4 cases in last 4 years. 18 people posted there. Okay. This is one, Kohima district. Then another police station, 33 people posted. 2019, 20, 21, no cases. 2022, 2 cases registered. Another one, 15 police station, full 15 people posted, only 4 cases in 1 year out of 4 years. One police station, nobody posted, no cases registered. But actually, this is an ideal situation. Nobody is posted, no cases registered. Should be the reverse. Since no cases are registered, there should be nobody posted. We should not even have a police station. Okay? We should not even have a police station. Then there is another one. No, I did not prepare for saying this, but I was thinking about something else in the morning, so I was going through this data. I said, okay, this is a good example to give. So another police station, 33 people posted. Average number of cases registered per year is 3. Okay. And in 1 or 2 of these cases, some of the uh, were the leaders from those areas. Now I will not take any names or anything. Itu area itu SDPO post हो जाले भागो. Okay, so there is no cases registered, virtually none, and they want SDPO post to be there. ऐसे की करो? थाके हमारे खाने में तो भी काम नहीं. SDPO बोलने की करो तो भी काम ना थाके वो. ना होले भी आपने तो केस 3 केस साल लगा से 20 पूरे भी हमें SDPO बनाए. Even it is not required for 20 also. अरे वो 20 पूरे भी हमें करो. हाँ, हमारा तो अलग ऐसे तो हिसाब तो चक्की लगा हिसाब. छोटो मोटो केस तो हम खाने चाहिए. तो अपने खाने चाहिए बोले तो पुलिस के लिए लगे ना. नहीं लगे भी. You know, you get my point. So there are mechanisms. This police department is a mechanism for resolution of disputes and for implementing the criminal laws. The public of Nagaland should start trusting the Nagaland police. Okay, my number one mission is drugs. Let me say, the fight against drugs is the stepping stone towards reviving trust in Nagaland police from the public of Nagaland. People should feel that if there is a problem, if we go to the police, the problem will be resolved. My difficulty will be taken care of, whether it is in the morning or in the dead of the night. We will be attended to and justice will be done without any consideration of tribe or village or anything. Police should act professionally. That is the number one job. And I don't know how you will take it, but I think this drugs thing is sort of a godsend in this mission, because it is such a thing that nobody in the society will oppose this fight. If we fight against drugs, there is nobody in the society who will say, so if I have to revive the trust of the police, of the public of Nagaland, in Nagaland police, this is the best and the easiest stepping stone to success and trust. Okay, that is why we have, well, I did not start this for this, but that is why the fight against drugs or the war against drugs has picked up in almost every. There is no section of the society except the criminals who would like it. Okay. Now, coming to the drugs, it is not an easy scenario. One of my first experiences to tell me how bad it was about 2 years back. A person who worked at home with me, he had been working with me for 5 years. Both his children were born when he joined with me. Well, he was in government service earlier, but both of them were born. I think it was August 21, he said that I want to go for leave. Chutti aur de wo. I said, okay. He went on leave. After about 3 days, 4 days, one of my bodyguards comes and tells me, "Sir, tala ramai ki priyate haje holvi inega hone ase tai morishi." There's a Nepali, they gone to Nepal, tai morishi. So I called out from my friend in Nepal. The boy had committed suicide. So I told them, I said, we are sending his wife from here, but make sure that his funeral is not completed by the time the wife reaches. Might be little much ago. So wife went. After about a month, the lady comes and she comes to meet me and she says, "Ki ho che? Dawa khai tha ki chhe." And I did not have any answer. Slowly it started turning out that he had loans of almost 25 lakh rupees. And I can be sure that almost half of those loans would be because of drugs. Half of them may have been because he wants to build a house, but half of it would be because of drugs. And since he takes drugs, he is not able to pay the loans back. He is not able to pay the loan back. There could be other reasons, but I think that is the main reason. And there was another lady who worked with me when this boy's wife came. After the first one went, the second one she says, हमें लगा भी सर about doubt আছে हमें लगा मोटा भी लोग থাকে না নাই तो लोग चेक कर दी अब चेक करेगा ताकि वो दीदी कल मॉर्निंग आई next morning she comes and she says sir हमें लगा मोटा भी लोग I have 3 people around me, out of 3 200 you know. If you are sensitive enough to what is happening around you, you will realize that this is not a happy scenario. 1 out of 3 is also very bad. 2 out of 3 is extremely bad. So I am saying 1 out of 3 is 1 out of 10 it is extremely bad. Practical terms in Nagaland, look at it. Okay, 1 person out of 10 in Nagaland out of a population of 3 lakhs is 2,30,000. No, 1 out of 10 is 20. Yeah, 23. So 1% is 23,000. So 10% is 2,30,000. Can you imagine 2,30,000 people drug addicts in Nagaland? And when I started working on this more, I started checking on say Kohima, police, others, just generally talking to people. I realized that Nagaland police itself is a big problem. I'm not against Nagaland police, but here is an institution which is supposed to change the society if you don't change your own system. I don't want to change Nagaland police if it is good, but if it is bad, then as the head of the family and the father of the family, it is my duty to correct my children. So we thought, what should we do? So we started catching some people. So there were cases for 4 years, people taking drugs, people addicts, people involved in the scandal. How do you send a message that this is not going to be tolerated? Whoever is involved, finish off these cases. So that is where we got rid of 7 to 8 people. Because 7 now it is 8 people. Then we started collecting data within our police department, found that number is around 1% you can say. Less than 1%, but everybody does not disclose. So if you say 1%, so 1% is also quite bad. No, in fact it is like data we got is around 6 to 7%. So 6 to 7% is fairly bad. So then we came up with our own mechanisms of issuing notices to them and telling them you go to the rehab, otherwise you will be dismissed. We started getting data on from where they are buying, who is their seller, how many times they pay. And somewhere at that stage, we had issued the dismissal orders in us also. Okay, somewhere at that stage, I realized that a lot of people down the line in Nagaland police just think that because in one of my first public speeches in January itself, I had said, please don't take drugs, go to rehab, take treatment and don't get involved. So by August, although we have dismissed people on this, but generally the impression among the lower ranks and some officers were like, then we thought that okay, it is good to go to the public and say we've taken action already and we will not flinch from taking action again. And this is the stand today. There are almost around 30 odd cases where our own people are involved in drugs. I personally monitor their departmental proceedings every week. Someone who is only doing it for consumption, say 1 gram, 2 gram, fine. Go to the rehab, get treated, fine. But someone who is having 30, 40 grams is not for himself. It is for selling to others. So there should not be any mercy on any of these. These are criminals in police uniform. Okay, so that is where it started. So it was a stern message. I don't know how public thought that I was only taking action against policemen. But I was just sharing with Lima that in the last 3 days, 4 days itself, we have arrested at least 3 government departments. I'm not arresting government servants or policemen or our Angami. We are arresting a person who is committing a crime. Now, for me, a, a crime is a very secular act. It does not have any religion or any clan. It's an equal act. Anyone who is committing a crime is a secular act. It is not dependent on which tribe, which money, which race, religion, X, Y, Z parameters. The law has drawn a boundary for me. If you cross the boundary, I will catch. Okay? But we also realize we cannot catch everybody. Imagine, as I said, like 2,30,000 people, 10%. Where do I put them in the jails? I can't. This should not be seen as that, Mahan ke do dhore de bhi jail pe jaake wo na pare, wo ito pura puri thake. Don't think it is like that. It is not like that. If it is required to find 2,30,000 jails, we'll find them. We'll find those jails also, okay? Or we will make you ineligible for other government jobs, government contracts, Aadhaar, free ration, free district. We can all propose all these things. All these measures will come. But the point is that arresting everyone who is a drug addict is not a solution. It is a disease which needs to be cured. And the people who are spreading the disease are the ones who need to be punished. So the major traffickers who are doing it, they need to be punished. The smaller addicts, but unfortunately the problem with the drug abuse is that the user is also a trafficker. He buys a little bit, out of that he consumes half he gives it to his friend. Whether he sells it to him or shares it with him. If he shares it with the other person also shares it with him. So either way, one of the two persons is a buyer. Okay. So it's like one time you buy, one time next time I will buy. So it's a very closed community that is here. Getting into that community of drug users and traffickers is very, very difficult. And our experience is that except about say 5% of them, most of the people who are into this drug abuse or drug trade or drug consumption, they are mostly from a very poor background in the society. A lot of them are illiterate. For them, morality has no meaning. Okay, for them, no scripture has any meaning, not even a reading of the scripture. So, whether it is a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian, they don't care about whether it is a Gita or a Bible or a Quran or anything. For them, just survival by taking drugs, selling it, earning money for his next dose is important. And once he gets in one dose and he starts taking the second dose, he needs to find money to do it. So that is where he gets involved in the trafficking. And the problem is that if he tells about the seller, the person from who he is buying, itu laga naam koi dile to laga chain bhangi jabo to laga supply kut pawo, dose kut choda pawo. So he is not willing to disclose the name of the people from where he is buying. That is where the biggest problem is. He doesn't tell us where he is buying from. That is where we find difficult to go up the chain and stop it. We know, say from one case we will know about 20, 30, sometimes even 50 people who are buying from one person. Okay, but how do we handle 50%? 50% from one case means that in Nagaland we have had 75 such cases. Imagine so many people. What do we do with these people? So we have been, in the police headquarters, we have been thinking with senior officers what to do, how we can handle all this situation. So one of the provisions in the NDPS Act, the law is that if a person is caught or he is known to be an addict and he tells the truth about where he is buying from and other things, and he is willing to go for the rehab and de-addiction, then prosecution may not be launched against him by the police. So there is a window that if you want to go there, we will not launch, but we will still have to touch him. So we are discussing about the possibility that in future in all cases where we catch a trafficker and we find out that these people are co-users or other users or addicts, we will try to send notices to them officially, saying this is the provision of the law, go for the rehab, otherwise we will take action. It's a warning to him. Now, I would also like this is not decided, we are just discussing this, but I am sharing this with you because I also would want your feedback on all this. See, for example, if I do this, I give him an opportunity saying go to the rehab, take treatment. First time we'll tell him, he doesn't go. Second time if I tell him, if you don't do it, if you don't go to the rehab, don't take provision treatment as per the law, I will inform your parents or someone or your wife, whatever, XYZ in the family. I also want your opinion on whether it will be a good idea to do this. Because after all, the society is the cushion on which he will finally fall. The society has to provide that cushion for him if he needs that drug. He has to get that support. Unfortunately, the existing government mechanisms for rehab and de-addiction are very less. Since I've been doing this, I'm no expert, but I'm doing this from my experience. So currently there are about 8,000 people who are on OST. OST is a substitute thing which is given to these addicts. So just imagine 230,000 people who may be taking drugs. 230,000 which Eralibil 1 lakh kodi. 1 lakh Eralibil, 50,000 kodi. Out of 50,000 people, only about 8,000 are on OST. 90% are still not there on OST. So our OST capacities are inadequate. The de-addiction centers, the rehab centers that we have in Nagaland, their capacity is just about 650 at the most. Where do the rest go? So we have to work out mechanisms for helping those people who want to go. But I can tell you from my experience in police that when we said go to rehab or you can face dismissal, there were constables and staff who said, rehab center you cannot say that you will throw him out, but we need alternate mechanisms. Okay. Now, alternate mechanisms are not all good and benign. Alternate mechanisms, some of them could actually be doing it as a business or extortion. Some of the NGOs and societies or others which are doing it, despite getting money from government for rehab centers, they still charge huge amount of money from the addicts who come. This is wrong. I think any one of you who knows of any NGO who is into rehab, who is taking money from the addicts for khana, pina or anything, I think there is a need to raise their voice. Now I am not saying against any particular NGO. They get money. They get money for the doctors, pharmacists, cook, sweeper, bed linen and everything, food. They get money for almost each essential thing. So after that also it is good to charge money. This is wrong. It is wrong not because I don't like it, but because they are being given money for that. Okay, so if we say that Nagas are beef eaters, well not beef eaters, Nagas are non-vegetarian, so we need to increase the rate of money available for food. Let us put it together and go to the government of India that increase it from say 130 rupees to 200 rupees. Rather than taking say 15,000 rupees extra, because that 15,000 is unaccounted for. Okay, so there are mechanisms, there are methods of convincing others, but we should be able to do that rather than informally saying that cash deal. Once you start doing this cash thing, then it becomes a business. So I think for people, I'm not saying that they should, all these NGOs and charity should be 100% charity. I understand that NGOs and the management of the NGOs, they need to survive on the same funds and grants that they get. But you cannot make it as a profit-making business. You make a living out of it, fine, but you cannot become a king with that money. You cannot start living lavish lives because of this. So that is one. The other is the informal mechanisms of fines and all, which people are imposing. Now, whether those fines are by government servants, including policemen, or by civil society organizations, village councils, village committees, student organizations, mothers organizations, or undergrounds. Anyone who is imposing fine or anyone who is either consuming drugs or involved in drug trafficking is involved in extortion. Let there be no two views about that. It is plain and simple extortion. You cannot say Damohan fine kore ase. No, it is not fine, it is extortion. I know of instances where people have taken money. I'll not give names. People mean organizations. Where organizations have taken money from ganja smugglers. Now, sunflower is probably worse, but I'm saying, I can give you examples of even sunflower also people who have taken money. One particular instance where some organization took money from, they got some ganja, called this fellow to his house, to their office or whatever building. So meaning of say, fine, they asked him to pay a fine of 10 lakh rupees. He said it would be one of money. Finally settled for 6 lakh rupees. They took 6 lakh rupees from him and gave the ganja back to him. Since they are not stopping that ganja thing, you are sort of extorting money and allowing to continue to do that thing which is illegal. So you are permitting it, you are legalizing something wrong. Strictly legally, if I get any evidence on this more, I will catch that association and the office bearers who were involved. They are involved in a crime of trafficking, in a criminal conspiracy and abetment of crime. If any one of you disagree with me, please remember that by disagreeing with me, you are disagreeing with the law, but you will allow drug trafficking to prosper in the society, because there is no dearth of people who would want to make money out of this. Yeah? Easy Bujaru, since a lot of youngsters have been back, a lot of Asan Bujaru. 5 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us go catch a drug addict. Okay? We catch a drug addict, they say 5 grams of sunflower. You're going to put it to fine logo the next time. So they don't do anything. You do 5 grams, 4 grams, whatever you catch, you take it from him, bring it back home. What are the chances that one of us 5 will not go back again and say, last time though, Itya 5,000 rupees material though, हमने के पुलिस से पठाए वो 9,000 नोट पे पठाए. What is the chances there? Which chances are there? So this is where you will help and legalize the crime. And tomorrow, since he is paying money, practical dynamics bujhugo lage. Today you think that you are putting him under pressure by imposing fine. Tomorrow he becomes your master because he is giving you money. He becomes your master. Dada, हमें ना एकदा सुटकेस आने दिवो, हमने बड़ा खर्चा भी दे दिया, पैसे तो का. Then it starts becoming legal. It will never stop like this. Okay, so what is the best method? Best method is, yes, ordinary public and citizens have the legal right to arrest a person who is committing a crime. I don't deny that, right I say. However, it goes with the provision that you have to report such arrest to the nearest police officer forthwith, immediately. Please report to the police. If you are doing it on your own, taking him in your custody, imposing fines, it is all illegal. If you are imposing fines, I am again repeating, it is extortion, nothing less than extortion. If you are keeping that person in custody in a room for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, or maybe 2 days, whatever, It is a crime that you are committing without taking money also. It is a crime of illegal confinement or illegal restraint or abduction or kidnapping. You have a police force which is potentially 25,000 strong. Trust করে start করবি না, विश्वास করবি না 25,000 মানুষকে। আপনি খান একটা society লাগা, NGO লাগা, পাঁচজন কি করবো? What 25,000 people with a legal backing cannot do, 5 individuals cannot do unless So, I don't say that public should not cooperate. I am here to seek your cooperation. But the cooperation from the public has to be within the limits of the law, so that public do not end up either committing a crime themselves or helping a crime to be committed. I am here to prevent a crime. Okay? Please help me. I will help you in that. It is a participative approach which will help. Neither police alone can do it, nor the public alone can do it. Public alone cannot do it, definitely cannot do it. Without committing crimes of their own, public cannot do it. Now, what will happen? Well, 90s, what used to happen? The underground will chop off the ear or the nose of the people. They're committing crimes again, you know. Inhuman acts, base act. I'm not saying anything against them, but would you accept anyone chopping off your ear or your nose? Drug addict, civilian. If anyone comes to you, you think this should happen in a civilized society? It should not happen. It cannot happen. It cannot be allowed to happen. There is a process of law. We should allow that process of law to prevail. A whole 25,000 Nagaland police is there with you. If anyone in Nagaland police fails to act on your information or is involved with a criminal, please report to me. I will take action. Don't take law in your hands. This is the beauty of a government organization, and especially a police organization. In an NGO, what will you do? No, there is an NGO, say, whatever, XYZ society. Panjan ase, Panjan para ekjan illegal extortion police, what can you do? You will say, to organization laga office koi terror na thakibo bole dusra jagah hoye jabo to nahi jayega. No, he will become an office bearer of another organization and start doing it there. This is what you can do. But in police, he is a government servant. He and his family are surviving because of the salary which they are getting for doing a job. If he fails to do that job or does something which is contrary to that, any number of actions can be initiated against him, including dismissal from service. Criminal cases apart. Criminal cases separately. So dismiss bhi hoga, they will find it. So a government mechanism or an institution is always much more effective in dealing with such problems. Now, I know there are some people of my age, like 50s or late 50s or 60s, but what we are doing now is not for ourselves, it is for the future generation. I am 56, maybe I have another 25 years of life left. But there are youngsters in this room who are 25, 26. They have another 50 years of life ahead of them. If you don't follow the law or start following the law, you are damaging yourself and not anyone else. We will damage ourselves for the next 25 years if we don't follow the law. If you don't follow the law, you will be spoiling your life for the next 60 years. Please follow the law. Law does not say it will apply to a Naga or a non-Naga or a Rupin Sharma or a Lima or in Dilshan district it will apply. Most laws will just say any person or a person doing this. No, a person is a person. It does not even say khun ka laal hona chahiye, he should be mentally able or disabled. Those are exceptions. Okay, please follow the law. My appeal to the youngsters is please follow the law. Teach your youngsters, to teach your friends to follow the law. Teach your elders to follow the law. Teach your parents to follow the law. And I'm saying this fully conscious and aware of the fact that a lot of people of your parents' age and generation, they have been brought up in a traditional village, tribal mentality. To tell them to follow the law and not follow the village is very difficult. Okay, but if you push them, I mean, I know this from my personal experience. Sometimes I learn a lot of things from my daughter. I have two daughters. My daughter will say, Papa, hey, ऐसा नहीं होगा. क्यों नहीं होगा? And when you listen to them, they have a good point of view. I cannot say that हमें लगा मुझसे दुनिया का कोई tradition नहीं. ना हो तो ना. Life moves ahead, it doesn't move back. Please try to follow the law, imbibe the law. The traditional wisdom which is there should fill up the gaps for the youngsters. The traditional wisdom cannot capture the space and not allow progress. Bishi bhagi will hold that. I mean, again, I will not. I'm not trying to stir up controversy or anything. It's just an example. See, 2017-18 we tried to have the ULB election, did not happen. With probably very few minor changes, the law is going to be passed and we are going to have the elections. Society will always progress.